In response to my last lesson about paying attention, here we go. When you're searching for yourself, trying to sort yourself out, and when you're talking to that person across the table, you want to know how they handle difficult situations. And since 2-year-olds are the most violent people on the planet, every one of us has been in or created a difficult situation at one point in our lives. And one of the things people should be curious about with you, and what you need to be curious about with them, is whether or not you're conscious of your capacity to create or to bring to order difficult situations. To be cruel, which is what Carl Jung called the shadow. Cruelty is what surfaces impulsively in men and women when they don't know how to handle an anomaly that disrupts what they think should be going on. Integrated cruelty is a disciplined aggression, a composed courage to face your deficiencies, and for the others to walk away from those who haven't faced the truth about theirs, and with minimal damage. I think Jordan Peterson said, a man's courage is directly correlated to the amount of truth he's able to handle. So we're talking about the truth. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about specific indicators of speech to pay attention to, because motivations are hidden in speech. I'll cover broader ideas in a follow-up lesson. There's a small percentage of people who are naturally conscientious, which means they're born along the golden calf of the personality spectrum, emotionally stable, or excuse me, or emotional stability, and that's about a fifth of us. For the rest of us, not along the golden calf of the personality spectrum, and for those of us born in deficient or outright pathological families, we have to become aware of the ways they make us suffer, the ways we do suffer, and how we make others suffer. And in order to do that, and in order to respect yourself or anyone else, you have to grow teeth. Integrate cruelty. If you grow teeth and you realize that you're somewhat dangerous, then you might be more willing to demand that you treat yourself with respect and that other people do the same. Sometimes this looks like someone simply walking away. It may hurt someone's feelings, which is dangerous. But being aggressive in that sense is better than the cruelty that'll grow over the 20 years of the two of you meeting out your unresolved issues and lack of development. I forgot where I saw this, but in order to grow, you'll have to risk offending people. And that's true. Look, the weak-willed and uncourageous create chaos. They are already offending, so you have to develop the capacity to counter chaos. People are incompetent because they are raised by incompetent people and they don't know it. So you want to know it. So the target is to assess whether or not you're competent enough together to sustain, hey, even joyfully and responsibly, your relationship over time and across the domains that are important to each of you. And actually solving a problem or solving problems together from your past at the start of a relationship is a great way you can build trust and build courage and connect. Relationships are built on the ability to work together and solve problems. So that's a pretty good start. If you face the difficult things, life becomes easy. If you only face the easy things, life becomes difficult. Look at it like this. If you were betrayed, and sometimes you don't see it or have a memory of it, it only feels like it, and most of the time the feeling is right. But let's say you have a memory of someone betraying you, or you were the witness to betrayal. What did the betrayer do? The weak-willed and irresponsible betrayers blame the victim, or they hide. And that's the pattern you don't want to carry in your life. And patterns of blame are what you're listening for. Blame is speech that hides responsibility. I've looked at or been involved in hundreds of cases, and I started noticing that the difference between those who suffered trauma or neglect and made it and those who didn't make it always came down to the fact that the person who made it and made it better stopped blaming. And stopping the blame doesn't mean that the betrayers have to be forgiven. That's something people struggle with. No, you don't have to forgive them. But after about 16 months, you shouldn't be giving it any more energy. If you're giving it energy after 16, 18 months, and the betrayal is over or the relationship is over, it is now your problem. And I don't mean to be insensitive with this, but the proof is in the research. Take responsibility somewhere else in your life, or take responsibility for why you can't get over it. because you would otherwise be creating a future you'd be proud of and a future all the people in your future would like to see. So that's the first red flag, blame. And sorry to you true victims. I know the suffering sucks, and I know, and I hope you get the help you need that motivates you to care for your future. The next red flag is impulsive emotional reactions. He made me blank or she made me blank. No, obviously that's blame. Everyone is responsible for their own emotions and their own reactions. Now, you may have been conditioned to react a certain way by mimicking someone else's behavior, but if you're dead serious about changing your life and your relationships, you're analyzing both what you do and what everyone around you does, past and present. Aloofness. Our brains aren't going to take everything in. The brain isn't wired to, and we tend to ignore the things we're not good at. But even the most competent brains take in what they consider relevant, only take in what they consider relevant and important. I think it's an 80-20 rule. You pay attention to only 20% of 100% of all of the possible information you could be paying attention to. So in the retelling of stories, what 20% is the storyteller focused on? What are the values and motivations? If it was always someone else's fault, that's a narcissist. Or if it's a particular space of the unknown, they could know. Be very clear, though, that every failed relationship, both parties are responsible. The blamer just doesn't know. The unspoken addictions, work, sex, alcohol, victimhood addiction. You must manifest these issues so that you're clear and honest about them. And for the addicted, it's just as important for you guys to speak it as it is for everyone else to hear it. And if you do, maybe you can actually work on it. At least you're telling the truth. Usually people are just so damn hungry for the truth that when confronted with the truth, they actually develop the courage to handle it. In most cases, addictions, as well as hiding insecurities and deficiencies, are part of the pattern that make addictions so guarded and coveted. And that's why people don't develop. But truthful speech heals. Truthful speech and actions orient you properly to the world, and that is very clear in the clinical psychology, which is supposed to make clinical therapy so effective, which is what I built my practice on. If you know the truth and you act out the truth, then the world will start to respond to you differently. Then you might start to feel better. Then you might start to be more successful. Then people may start to trust you. Then your life may turn out much better than you anticipated. Jung thought that you could bypass therapy altogether by making a proper moral effort in your life. And American psychologist Carl Rogers believed that honest dialogue alone could redeem people from their suffering. Based on their knowledge and experience, that's believable. People hide their destructive behavior because the truth was hidden. And that's what underlies Dr. Jordan Peterson's message that what you most need to find will be found in the places you least want to look, because it's been hidden right under your nose where you don't want to look. Toxic positivity, another red flag. This is the person who shows up happy but never provides, and is also only happy in the things that make them happy, but never or rarely is happy in the things that make anyone else happy. And that requires empathy, which is typically necessary in every relationship. So the question is, okay, you're happy, but what do you provide? The last red flag to be aware of is vengeance. Vengeance in all forms, and this is in all of the clinical literature, is antisocial behavior. If someone tells you they took revenge, whether it's physical harm, conscious manipulation, or reputation destruction, and they're proud about it, run. And the key is whether or not they're proud or happy about it. End it and go. You risk also becoming a vengeful person. Their vengeance will be meted out on you, or you will spend your life apologizing for every time he or she took revenge. And healthy people don't do that. The emotionally stable person excuses themselves from a toxic situation, so it's not catastrophized. They know the damage, and they don't involve themselves in damaging people. And that's it. Pay attention to the stories that have these elements. They are huge red flags.